covering the stories that impact your life, your town, your state, and your future. This is the Means Report with your host, Brad Means.
Hello, everybody, and welcome once again to the Means Report. Happy New Year! So happy that we are back together. It's been a while, hasn't it? All sorts of things have happened since the last edition of the Means Report. Jarrett, our executive producer and director, did an animated version of the news on News Channel 6. What a great Christmas special you did, Jarrett. Thank you for that. We also had a little fireside chat over here in the studio for a Christmas and New Year's edition of the Means Report. Hope you enjoyed those as well. But yes, it's back to business now as we focus on the issues that do impact our lives each and every day. And I can't think of an issue that impacts us more than our health. And we're going to talk about that today on the Means Report, the health of our heart, where it all starts, the muscle that keeps the whole body going. And how would you like to win a pickup truck? Speaking of heart health, those two are connected, I promise. And as always, we'll wrap up the Means Report with ways that you can stay in touch and help us get more great guests like our first one, a man who truly, and I know people say this a lot, but this is the truth, needs no introduction. He is Dr. Mac Bowman, tireless community servant and advocate, and oh, by the way, a cardiologist. Dr. Bowman, thank you for all you've done all these decades.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, we appreciate you. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you.
It's a time to make resolutions and better ourselves.
That is correct.
And I want to talk about heart health first, and then I want to talk about that pickup truck raffle that you're behind. But yeah, let's start with our overall well-being when it comes to our health. Yeah. Just a general question. In your practice, what's the top heart, cardiovascular related issue you see?
It has to be high blood pressure,
yeah.
Elevated blood pressure.
What causes that?
Part of what causes it is what we do. Part is what we eat. Part of the things in the way that we react to things, that some things are things beyond our control, but we react contrarily anyway. Stress causes the adrenal glands to put out a chemical called cortisol, makes us eat more, may make our blood sugars go up. It also puts out a chemical that we call adrenaline, epinephrine, norepinephrine. Squeezes our blood vessels, makes our heart rates go faster, and make the blood pressure go higher. And then we may do some other contrary things, such as put little things in our mouths that emit smoke, that causes blood vessels to constrict, elevate blood pressure, and also other things that we put in our mouths that may add to our insulation and may make our arteries fill up more with fluid, which also elevates blood pressure. Things that we eat. So what we eat, what we do habitually, what we don't do exercise-wise, and how we react to the stresses that come up in our lives. Some of them controllable, some not controllable.
You know, when you said things that you put in your mouth that produce smoke, I pictured a cigarette. Are you anti-vape as well?
I think there's some contrary issues with vape as well that one has to be careful and cautious about in terms of relative risk compared to nicotine. Nicotine probably is more problematic, but also the substances with which we vape also has their points of concern as well.
How do you know you have high blood pressure? Do you get a headache? Does your face turn red?
Well, it can. Both of those, unfortunately, may be down the line things. You may come in subtly with high blood pressure with no symptoms. It can be the proverbial quiet or silent killer. One should be proactive and just get your blood pressure checked. We do things around the community as far as health fairs or going to events at churches or whatever. Part of it always is the checking of blood pressure with the people there. Many know they have blood pressure issues, but many don't know that they do.
Well, how about this? I don't want to know. I'd rather just live my life and not see those scary systolic, diastolic numbers that you're going to show me at one of those health fairs.
Well, that is the reaction of some. But an ounce of prevention is worth the proverbial pound of cure. Knowing that you have high blood pressure, or say knowing that your parents had it, which may predispose you. It may make you go ahead and get that checked. You can do much more about it when you know you got it and address it. than have it anyway, don't know you have it, the same travesty is still waiting down the road to jump out and grab you.
It can drop you dead, can't it?
That it can. That it can.
You mentioned genetic predisposition,
Yes.
Inherited traits that might lead to high blood pressure. Can you outrun your genes? Does it affect every son and daughter out there?
It doesn't affect every, but unless you're in one of the more sophisticated, detailed genetic predisposition clinics, you don't know whether you got it from mom or whether your brother or sister got it from mom. Mm-hmm. It's a safe presumption that if mom or dad have it, I have a chance of getting it. In my particular case, my dad did, and I do. And so I'm pretty serious about not only physical conditioning, but what I eat and what I drink. And proactive things in somebody with that family background is to be advised.
Let's help alleviate some of the apprehension for those who are watching and don't want to go to the doctor or who are fearful. What's it look like after you see them and diagnose them with hypertension? Do they have to automatically take a pill for the rest of their lives?
Not necessarily. There are some people who can be superbly controlled with changes in their lifestyles. If they eat less, if they weigh less, if they smoke, if they quit, if they decrease the amount of salt or sodium that they ingest, if they rest better, if they have sleep apnea and snore. It's not just a comical thing, but that telltale sign of snoring may be the herald that that person has sleep apnea, and if they get adequate therapy for that, they may have their blood pressure controlled being on no medicines, just either wearing the device or the new procedure, the Inspire, one of those type things. So it's not always the medicines, but it does mandate a change. You can't stick your head in the sand and just hope it goes away. You really got to face it. You got to do something about it.
Dr. Bowman, what's a good number? I watch these medical shows and I hear 120 over 80.
120 over 80 is pretty nice. If you got that, you ought to be happy. We used to say 140 over 90, and when you're 140 over 90, you already have twice the chance of a heart attack or stroke going forward over the next 7 years as somebody who's normal. I think that if you have kidney disease, you want that pressure. You want to be in the 120s over 70s to low 80s. And as you start creeping beyond 134 over 84 into the mid 130s, the high 90s, that also traumatizes the vessel. I tell folks, if you think of blood pressure as somebody's fist massaging your face, or somebody, or a small child's hand massaging your face, this may be the child's hand, nice and gentle, soothing, feels good, as opposed to a murdering marauder who comes through with a fish pump to crack your face, your jaw, remove a few teeth or otherwise. You don't really want the fist pump. You don't really want that accelerated pressure. I saw somebody in the office this morning. Blood pressure was 208 over 110.
My dear word, how were they still breathing?
They not only were they still breathing, but they didn't feel badly at all. Everybody doesn't feel the effects. Some people do.
What'd you do with that person? Admit them?
We went ahead, and there's some things that we can do by mouth, pill-wise, that cause a gradual decrease in pressure. They sit there and they're observed until that's done. If the pressure is beyond that, or if we don't have those agents there, we send them right over across the way to the emergency treatment area.
What do you think about those blood pressure stations that you see at the grocery store or the drugstore?
Anything,
you trust them?
Anything that gets you the check, gets you checked.
Yeah.
Now sometimes they may be a little off here or there. I would trust more the ones that say I do or that a medical professional does. Some of the ones that you buy that you can take your pressure at home, some of those can be a little bit off. I have my patients, if they buy one, bring it in, we check it with theirs, we check it with ours. I encourage people to have those and check their blood pressures at home.
What's that thing called, white coat syndrome? Okay, so white coat syndrome, I'm paraphrasing, is when you go into the doctor and your blood pressure's high, not because you have high blood pressure, but because you're scared of the doctor.
That's correct.
Can you stop for a minute, take a couple of deep breaths, and make those numbers go down?
You can do progressive relaxation.
Yeah.
You can sit there and try to tell yourself calm, cool, wonderful things. And just like there are chemicals that you release into your blood that make your heart rate go faster and your blood pressure go higher. You also can decrease those chemicals by sitting with somebody, talking with somebody kind, friendly, handsome like Brad means.
Oh, wow.
And it brings your pressure down.
Well, right back at you, Dr. Bowman. You talked about stressors earlier in our interview. And sometimes we can't control our response to them, but is it beneficial blood pressure-wise to, when you see a stressor, try to steer yourself away from it? And what's that look like? How do you do that in that heated moment?
I think as you know yourself and you're introspective, you become prospective. And if you know in certain circumstances you have reacted or behaved in certain ways, and you know the ramifications of that, blood pressure going up, heart rate going up, people can feel that sensation. And if you can, surely it may be a time that, well, I will exit the environment when this particular person comes in who tends to drive my blood pressure up. If it's not the person that signs my check or someone that is bringing me lunch or something that I need, this would be a time that I would proactively alter my physical circumstances.
What's the connection between cholesterol and issues with your heart? We used to hear so much about cholesterol, and there were all these products you could eat that would lower your numbers. Is that still a thing?
It is still a thing. It's one of the big four. Blood pressure is the big one. I tell folks it beats the heck out of the lining of your arteries, makes your heart work harder, and the heart gets thicker. That's what blood pressure does. What cholesterol does is it is engulfed by the cells that line your blood vessels. And as it is engulfed gradually over time, and it's not just when you're in your 50s, 60s, it starts in your late teens, early 20s. Soldiers back in World War I, World War II, soldiers who were killed early, a lot of them in their 20s when they had autopsies, many of them already had cholesterol starting to line their arteries. And one of my favorite figures that I use in my talks is a picture of the artery gradually over time, where you see the accumulation of cholesterol in that vessel. It becomes yellower and rougher as you accumulate more and more to that final or fateful day when the artery is significantly narrowed. The top comes off of that scab in the artery, and clot then forms on top of that. Most people who have a heart attack, they don't have a 100% occluded artery by cholesterol. They have a plaque that may be 50, 70, 80% narrow. But on that fateful day, that blood pressure goes up, it knocks the top off of that plaque. You then have clot on top of plaque. Now you do have a completely occluded artery. So what we do then looks dramatic and great on Channel 6 as you roll through the emergency room door at Piedmont or Wellstar or any of the great hospitals we have these in this area. But you don't want to be that person.
No.
You'd rather be that person who proactively controls the blood pressure, decreases the punch, controls the deposits in the arteries to make them regress rather than progress. It doesn't always get worse. It can sometimes get better with aggressive control of cholesterol as well as blood sugar and otherwise.
Can you get to a point where you might be able to get off the meds?
Oh, yeah. That's a wonderful thing. It's like the Blimpus commercial. It's a beautiful thing. It happens. It happens.
Okay,
and
that's good.
And that's what you aspire to. When I tell my patients, these are the things that we're going to do as we construct a treatment plan. We want to do those things, not just every time you come in, we got to go to another pill. We might have to do that for a while. But guess what? As you make progress in the habits and personal changes you make in your life, we're going to have more and more days where, hey, we come down on this medicine. Hey, we don't need this one anymore.
Yeah.
Hey, we no longer have to be on that. So if you do those prudent things, you exercise, you eat right, you try to manage your stress, you avoid nicotine use in any way, shape, or form. We don't always get worse with each visit. We oftentimes get better, and frequently we're able to come off of things. And not only does it, it's less you put in your mouth, it saves you money. If you hadn't bought blood pressure medicines in a while, you know a lot of the medicines are fairly expensive.
Oh, I bet it's through the roof. Real quick before we go to break, what are the other two things? Blood pressure, that's a big issue you see. Cholesterol?
Cholesterol, diabetes, knowing what your blood sugar is and cigarette smoking. Those are the big four.
And we could do a whole show on diabetes alone.
Absolutely.
When we come back, though, as promised, we're going to talk about something that's near and dear to Dr. Bowman's heart. It's his annual fundraiser to help his foundation, which does such wonderful work. You'll want to take part. You can get a truck on the Means Report. Welcome back to the Means Report. We appreciate you staying with us. Cardiologist Dr. Mac Bowman is our special guest, and we talked about heart health in our first segment. I want to talk about an annual fundraiser that is well underway right now. It's a raffle to give away a really nice Dodge Ram pick-em-up truck, and the drawing is going to be just really at this point a few days away, give or take, weeks probably as of this recording. Dr. Bowman, let me ask you about the Dr. Mac Bowman Horizon Foundation, the beneficiary of this annual raffle. If I had to say, paraphrase your mission, I would say that you're a place that promotes good health and tries to make our community as healthy as possible. Is that accurate? And how is that not an overwhelming undertaking?
It's a labor of love. It came to fruition on a morning run. When I saw the sun rising, and though we were talking, I think it was actually a sunrise, I was thinking about the horizons in people's lives, and I told my partner, Dee Pierce, that we're going to go in a little different direction. We've been doing some things out and about in the community under other auspices, but the Horizon Foundation focuses on improving the health of our community to help individuals in our community, to provide hope for individuals in our community, to aid in healing people in our community, and to honor those in the community who do those things. Our insignia is 5 H's that Dee Pierce designed, and that's what they come from. And so we do that, and we try to do things everywhere we see the need, from tangible helping with medicine purchases and providing services with rehab, to during COVID, doing some less tenable things like helping with funeral ceremonies, believe it or not, because there were people in the community who couldn't afford to bury loved ones. The big foundational activity is the health fairs. We go everywhere, churches, schools, we do blood pressure checks. Piedmont helps us by, we have services provided checking lipids, checking cholesterols, doing plaque scans where we look at the arteries in your neck, which we can do out in public, and we can tell, because if you have blockages in these arteries, there's a higher likelihood you have them here. And when an individual sees that cholesterol, that plaque in those vessels, they're engaged. You really have their attention.
Do organizations in the community help you, agencies that are already set up to do some of the things you've said, or is it mainly y'all, the foundation makes the connection through those fairs?
We do both. Most hospitals in our area are proactive. Piedmont Augusta is very proactive, and them coming on board, they've helped us to elevate our exposure in the communities. I go to most of these, and we give on-site blood pressure checks and looking at the arteries in the neck, and they have an idea of where they are. We get the labs drawn. We check their blood sugars, the A1Cs. So it's a tangible way to really get people off the sofa and in action to proactively do those things to lessen their own cardiovascular risk. With the foundation, we fortunately are able to help in places that don't have a lot of assets. Where we go, we have a very wonderful operation over on Thinwood Street in Harrisburg. I Am My Brother's Keeper. It's an organization there, and
great group.
We've gone there, and we go anywhere that we're needed. And fortunately, there are a lot of people in our community who are doing the same thing. So it's not just us, but we've got a lot of partners out there trying to make things better.
Well, so your efforts, and they're vast, require resources and support. And so these raffle ticket sales for this Dodge Ram pickup truck help support that. We are going to put your website on the screen, Dr. Bowman. Is that the best way to figure out how to buy a raffle ticket, or is there a better way?
That's the best way. And Dee Pierce is my CEO of the foundation, and Dee designed our insignia and all. And Dee also said, because I was sort of auto financing all of this back in the day. He
Yeah.
said, "You're going to be working forever." He said, "Why don't you just let me get a car and let's do this and do this."
It was Mercedes.
And it was Mercedes, because Dee was working there then. And this year we're with Mike Murphy over at Miracle Toyota. What a partner, and gave us a great deal on a beautiful Ram truck. And with the hurricane coming, it was actually a better choice for us.
Yeah.
And guess what? Most of these tickets, ladies are buying them.
Are they? Yeah.
It's a sharp truck.
Sure.
And it is. It's been a very, very popular choice. That was also Dee's idea as well. He said, "Why don't we do a truck this year?" So it's been a great idea. So what we do, you can go on the website, get the tickets. They're $100 each. It's a reverse raffle, so every ticket is pulled, and the last ticket is the winner. And every year there's a story, so there's a special thing about the winner every year. So if you got something special about just you, buy your ticket. You may be the one. And for us, it's a labor of love. We actually have a health screening on that day during the raffle. We screen everybody that comes up, and we have food and refreshments there. So we have a good time. It'll be on the 9th of February over at Miracle Toyota.
You want to be the last one
You
standing.
want to be the last one.
I love it, and I hope it raises a ton of money. I know it will. I have just a couple more moments. I want to ask you two quick questions, hopefully. One is, should we ban certain types of food so that we would have no choice but to be healthier? Is there something you'd like to just kind of delete?
That would be the easy way.
Yeah.
That would be the easy way. But I will tell you, like I told you, and you didn't hear this from me, but those little yellow bags that have these different colored candies with peanuts in them, they could ban those.
Oh, M&Ms, my friend.
Because that's my kryptonite.
Dr. Bowman, they're so good.
They are.
M&Ms are just great. Yeah, if they could just kind of vanish for a while,
Yeah.
and we could get even healthier. What about, I can't turn on the TV without seeing a blood thinner ad.
Yeah.
So talk to me about how much you like or don't like blood thinners, because if I hit my head, God forbid, or have any other type of wound, I don't want to bleed out or have anything internal going on.
Well, there are some things where the blood thinners do lessen mortality and morbidity. One of the most frequent rhythm problems that we deal with is called atrial fibrillation. And a lot of people who snore or have sleep apnea, they're at high risk for this, and among the highest risk of people who have high blood pressure. Those people, if they're not on a blood thinner, they have a predictable risk of a clot forming in the heart as it's fibrillating. And when that occurs, that clot can go anywhere. It can go to your eyes and blind you, can go to an artery in your head, and you can have a stroke. The blood thinners decrease the risk of that by as much as 99.8%. So in those individuals, the blood thinners, even though you are higher risk of bleeding, it markedly reduces your risk of stroke.
Dr. Bowman, bless you for all you do, and thank you for the time and the information you provided today. I learned a ton.
Thank you so much. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Always good to see you.
You too, sir. Cardiologist Mac Bowman, a treasure for our community.